morning, and thank you very much for joining us. Also, welcome back to work. Some of you have always been at work, right from Saturday into Sunday, from Friday into Saturday, into Sunday, into Monday, into Tuesday. There are those of you, the fire service, for example, the police, for example, the army, for example, TVs all over the place, for example. But our guests probably were on vacation, and so we welcome them back to work. Let me start with the Deputy Provost of NIJ, Dr. Jide Johnson. You're welcome back, sir.
You never know whether we have been on vacation or not.
A teacher's work is never done.
Good morning on this morning.
And I can welcome Chuks, Nwoko, publisher and social commentator, back. Welcome back from your vacation.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, you're not arguing it. You're not arguing the point.
I'm not arguing it.
Because this is Chuks is still dressed for the vacation.
I'm not. I have never been on vacation. I've been busy. There's no time for vacation.
Oh, well. Anyway, it's good to be back, and good to have
Absolutely.
all our viewers back, those of them that didn't travel. You know, people might have traveled and disrupted their viewing schedule a bit, but nice to have you all back. And then what we're talking about this morning is that we have food sufficiency now. That's what we should talk about. So how do I know this? Well, that's part of the reason that the president gave when he said there will be no more importation of food via Forex from central bank. I guess the implication of that is that if you've got money, go ahead and do it, but don't source it. Don't come to us for it. No more foreign exchange for the importation of food. Instead, that will be developed into the ongoing effort to diversify the economy. Dr. Johnson, let me start with you. It sounds good that we are self-sufficient.
Yeah, Uncle Yori, food security is the key to national security. Any nation that cannot feed itself cannot defend itself. So I think it's a welcome development on the part of the president to say that, what, we are not going to provide foreign exchange for importation of food, which in itself we allowed foreign exchange assets to go to other sector, critical sector of the economy, which might drive the value of Naira in the long run, because the demand for foreign exchange from food will reduce to, if nothing next to zero, based on this directive by the president. And like I said earlier on, food security is the key to national security. And the drivers of any economy is the agricultural sector. And Nigeria is blessed with arable lands. There's no kind of crops or cash crops or food crops that you want to grow in the world that you can't find in any part of this country, that cannot go in any part of this country. And if you recall, in the 60s and in the 70s, when agriculture was the mainstay of our economy, a lot of things were in place in terms of you could trace it to the value of our currency, the value of Naira. When we are doing very, very well in terms of agriculture, you could see the value of Naira. But when we began to import different kind of food items, to the point of importing pizza, importing toothpicks, and the rest of them, it affected our sector.
Yes, because when you say Chuks, depending on how you look at it, I know it's a bit more complex than that, but you look at some of the malls, for instance, you come and see, you see our local foods. You see gari repackaged, you see elubo repackaged, and everything, cassava flour. And apart from that, as you know, they're on the stalls in the UK, for example. There is no Nigerian food that you want. If it is gari-based or whatever, you can get it. I'm not saying we have enough malls and all of that, but that's not my real indication. It's that there's been an upsurge that wasn't there before. As we've been coming along, the foods that we know are being represented to us in perhaps in a 2019 new millennium compliant kind of a way. So the goal, apparently, and I know you're very interested in sustainable development goals. So that goal of food production, I mean, if we haven't got there, but I'm not even saying that, since the president said that we have got there, we're high, if not dry yet, right? Would you agree?
Yeah, I believe so. I my mindset in the last few weeks or months, if you like, it's been on food. I mean, I get up and I want to eat something. So you need to check my table, what I am about to eat. And you find that we're all guilty. Some of the things that we consume, some of them are not made here. And it's saddening. So I am glad to hear that.
And all of those that you might be consuming that are not here, it's hard to imagine ordinary palates.
Yes.
It's hard to imagine what it is that you eat from yonder that can't be produced here.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter whether it is bacon. It doesn't matter whether it's chips. Let's say that's your thing.
Absolutely.
Whether it is Italian food, it doesn't matter.
But you mentioned
Dangote and Co, they're all around.
You mentioned that in London, in malls in London and all that.
Yeah.
I can tell you for free that when you go to places like Dallas, Houston, Atlanta, Georgia, and all that, you will be so proud to be a Nigerian. The rate at which Nigerians open shops and cows. I don't know how they take those cows from here to that place.
Filled with Nigerian goods.
Indomie, all kinds of
Nigerian foods.
Yeah, Nigerian foods are sold. Yam, fish, everything. But over here, you go around.
We now say there's a shortage. We say
we have imported. I ate oats this morning. It's not a Nigerian whatever. But if you go around
although
the city
there
of
is
Lagos,
the Nigerian version, it's now made locally.
Absolutely.
I mean, everybody probably knows Quaker oats from back in the day. Not intending to advertise them, but there are all sorts of oats now locally produced.
Absolutely.
Tapioca is oat.
Exactly.
Tapioca
is oats. So it has to do with our mindset. And I think that beyond making this pronouncement, the president and his team must prepare to receive I don't want to call it an attack or you're going to have people cry over this. But it's their responsibility to point us to the fact that we have what it takes here. Because I know that food security is very essential. Look, you and I, what are we working for? At the end of the day, what is your gain in this life? It's what you eat.
To put food on the table.
To put food in your stomach. That's what it's all about. Whether you are a professor, whether you're a mechanic, at the end of the day and at the end of the time, what you're taking out of this place is what you have been able to take in. That's what life is all about. So we need to secure our nation by making sure that there's food on the table for every Nigerian. Because when that doesn't happen, this policy, as good as it sounds, I love it. Because young Nigerians should investigate this policy and get back to work to producing food. Because once we feed ourselves, the crisis and the shuffling and the argument and the quarrel, they'll be minimized. The only little problem we're going to have is that you are going to have elites who are not satisfied with this idea that we should
have their own foreign exchange. What Mr. President seems to be saying that it's free, a free pallet for anybody, free. But if you were talking about importing pizza, somebody taking a trip out to Italy to do pizza in a particular kind of a place, you can't quarrel with such a thing. So far, you got if you've got the money to do it.
No. But you see, the money they are seeking is not really for food importation, because you remember the days we used to have Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, when we used to have allocation of foreign exchange. That's where this idea of sending children abroad started, because they were using the monies for other things. And we have so many instances where monies have been allocated to these big men. And so it's not just food importation. This decision must be driven to its logical purpose.
Must be extended.
Yes.
Jide, you wanted to come in, but can I just take Mr. George first, and then you come in after that. Good morning, Mr. George.
Good morning, Uncle Yori, and good morning to your team there.
Yeah, thank you.
Uncle Yori, the new directive from the government will be a test on reality. What do I mean? Whether the claim that we are self-sufficient in food production is actually true or not. I don't know if the people who have been smuggling rice and things like that have been getting foreign exchange from central bank. Obviously, those kind of people do not go to central bank to get foreign exchange. They have a way of getting it. We will know now, when there is no formal allocation of foreign exchange to the food sector, whether we have the food or not. But I believe we can, even if we don't have it now. The new directive will be an incentive for our, especially governors, to turn attention to agriculture most of them, because they can get money from Abuja every month, do not pay attention to agriculture, which would have been a solution to so many problems, unemployment and all the rest. So I support this idea, and the federal government should go beyond and make it mandatory for governors to pay attention or additional attention to agriculture.
Okay.
That's what I've got to say here.
Thank you very much for calling in.
You see, Uncle Yori, through a World Trade Agreement and globalization, we thought the gap between the rich nation, developed nation, and the developing nation and the underdeveloped nation will be closed. But you've seen in the last 3-4 years, everybody has gone to protectionist mode. The United States of America has imposed tariff on China. China has imposed counter tariff. United States of America has renegotiated NAFTA deal with Mexico, and Britain has pulling out of the European Union. So we must have a protectionist policy that protects our local economy. And what do I mean by our local economy? Whether we like it or not, till date, agriculture is still the main employer of labor in this country. All you need to do is to go to the rural areas. And I think this policy is the step in the right direction. However, there must be the will and the determination and the cooperation of other tiers of government. What do I mean by that? The state government, the local government, to buy into this directive of the president that we are not, because George raised one point that is very, very valid. Smugglers
do they go to central bank?
They don't. They get it from. So it takes us back to what should be the role of CBN in this matter, in terms of those having access to foreign exchange. Are you with me? In terms of those having access to foreign exchange, what will be the regulatory role and the sanction that central bank will apply to those that default? Because some people will come to buy the foreign exchange for identified areas where the federal government says they can buy foreign exchange for, and divert. Those that will divert, what will be the sanction? I think there are critical sectors that will play a role in ensuring that we achieve this goal. Rome was not built in it. It will be tough, like Chuks said. It will be tough in the beginning. However, if you really look at it, it's about the determination of the government to ensure that this policy sees the light of the day by providing the necessary infrastructural base to make it happen.
Benjamin in Abuja, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Thank you for calling in.
Yes, sir. Yeah, my contribution to this is that it's a good idea, actually. Bringing out this idea is a good idea, actually, but the condition we have now in this very country, I don't think it's possibly important. We have a lot of people to use this kind of impact for this country. Talking about the electricity aspect, talking about the farmers, everything there and there. Supposed to be set first, and then all we go way forward. All those factors, we are talking about stopping importation of food. Whereby we have our rich men importing and taking their kids outside country for education. You understand? All those things are supposed to be settled earlier before the food. This is kind of bringing more anger or something.
Okay.
Start to the country. You will get to have less importation. You will not be able to buy what you produce in your own country. How many of the population of the country and then what they're going to produce is more or less if I'm to look at it. So I advise the government to think wisely on what they have in plan. We are talking about electricity whatever in 20-something, whereby issues. Yeah, in which government, this very government or the next government to come. So we are supposed to just look at necessary issues. I advise the government to look at it very well and then know what to. It's very good idea. It's a good idea and transport. This very time I don't buy it.
All right then.
Let's just manage the foreign and the local one. If you have your money, go for foreign. If you have your money, use your local. We are okay. You don't even have work.
Okay.
So
thank you very much. Thank you for calling in. Appreciate your call. And of course, Jide, Mr. George, and then Jide was highlighting some of the workings, the internal workings that we're going to also have to deal with in making this.
There's no way you're going to have any policy, including this one, that you're not going to have a fallout. You're going to have people like you heard the last speaker now. And all that. I think the role of citizens sometimes is to support government and its policies when it's in tandem with our aspiration. What is our aspiration? We suffer from high insecurity problems, challenges. This we help to minimize it. That is number one. Number two, the greatest setback that Nigeria has had, apart from the political upheavals that we have had, is lack of food. Food is expensive.
Yeah.
So once you can get everybody to tap into this as an opportunity for the teeming youths and look at the chain that is available right now, it is going to help.
Okay.
In reducing.
One moment, sir. Mazi Okorafo, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Yori. Good morning. Oga Jide, good morning. Oga with red cap. Good morning,
Oga Chuks, Nwoko.
Oga Chuks. No, red cap is very, very important.
It is not important. You are from Arozundogo. Where are you from? Arochukwu.
Morning, sir.
Good morning to you.
Sir, Yori, gentlemen, what the president did is very nice because now let's take at things like say tomato puree. Tomato puree have been produced in Nigeria, and we are still importing those things inside Nigeria. I was discussing with Junior, that was over the weekend before Salah. Junior told me that palm oil that we see today that palm oil has been imported from Cameroon into Nigeria. Now, how can you import palm oil into Nigeria? Where in Aruchuku, the whole of Eastern Nigeria, south and east, they have palm trees that will produce Nigeria the best palm oil in the world. Why must we bring in palm oil from Cameroon into Nigeria? It's very, very interesting. Now, that was why, if you check well, see that what Trump did. President Trump said that China, this is what you do in our country. You must use our people at least 80% in US. Not the question of bringing your people. That was what that trade issue between China and America is still dangling. Now, what will benefit from what the president has done? Because it is now good for our government to make the environment very, very conducive. Like what the last caller was saying about electricity. We need electricity. By the time we get all this electricity, at least 70% everywhere, all this our textile industry, look at Nigeria. We have the best fabric in this country. Go to Western states there. You see the fabric, what they call it, this local fabric that they use. Adire. Fine. Now, you see, I was watching one of these presenters in Focus in Africa. The way she dressed like that, so Peter Okocha bought made Trump for about, he said this is the best dress she had ever worn in her life. This is Adere produced in Nigeria, but we in Nigeria, we don't value it. You see, an outsider is very more than we that this, if you put that Adere and go to anywhere, you see that anytime you travel out for this country with all these locally made fabrics, I bet you, the people would like to snap picture with you and they like to give you money. It has happened to us. They gave us money to with their own size. We produce it and send it to them. It's admirable. But here in Nigeria, these are the things that already in Nigeria. What do we do? It is a high time that Nigeria do what let all these things we have in Nigeria be exported into us. We should embrace what we have in this country. It will help us. By the time all the states in Nigeria have the natural resources they have in their states, we don't need to come to Abuja and start collecting revenue every money from the federal government. Thank you very much. Have a blessed day in Lagos.
Thank you very much, Mazi.
Like I was saying before the Mazi called in, the other leg of what I wanted to say, and which I need the government to pay attention to, is the fact that the amount of money that goes to the states, about 48% of the national income that we get, that we share every month, 48% of that goes to the states, state and local government. Now, that money, I believe is so much, and they spend it as they like. And I know some of the states, have agricultural programs. But I think that this call, the government at the center should encourage the state, especially the APC governors, to pay more attention to utilizing more of those funds at the local government level to mobilize youth to food production. Lagos State government has shown an example when I heard that they produce certain rice, but they need to go beyond rice to another Kebbi State. They need to find another product, because this is.
But those kind of liaisons must be going on in areas of comparative advantage.
Exactly. They know what to do, but it is drawing attention to that. Because if you look at offices of our governors and the offices, MDA offices and all that, the kind of furnishings that you have in that place, they are out of this world. So, and that's also how the dining tables look like.
Yeah.
The dishes, the food,
everything.
Everything. So we need to look at how that there's so much money that creates that kind of appetite and taste.
Yes, exactly. That taste. We're going to come back to that taste issue because this goes back to something that even Obasanjo back in the day, where as a military president was trying to push. I remember back in those days at state banquets, head of state Obasanjo, so as he was known at the time, state banquets, it would be only Nigerian fare, only state banquet, Agidi, Eforiro, and whatever.
I think we should get there.
Our tastes have gone haywire. Comrade Ayo in Oshobo, good morning.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you for calling me.
And good morning to our guest in the studio.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, comrade.
Uncle Yori, this policy of President Muhammad Buhari is very brilliant. It's a good idea that will increase our capacity as far as agriculture is concerned. But my fear is, do we have the capacity to implement it? It boils down to corruption. See, now the president is saying forests should not be given to those who import food into this country. How are we sure those at the point of importation will not compromise? Those who are starting the responsibility of checking those who import these things into the country will not compromise it. See, we have a lot of problems. We don't have the capacity, honestly speaking. But this idea is a very brilliant one.
All right then, comrade. So, comrade, you endorse it in principle, but the practical application of it is what you have apprehensions about.
Honestly speaking, Uncle Yori, agriculture, if we can invest so much in agriculture, we will solve a lot of problems in this country, revenue-wise, food-wise, employment-wise, and all other things. But do we have the capacity to implement it? That is my fear.
Thank you very much, Comrade Ayo. Appreciate your calling.
I think, like Chuks pointed out earlier, we shouldn't have some level of skepticism. Rather, we should have some degree of optimism in terms of moving in the right direction. No matter how, Rome was not built in a day. Even God did not create his world in one day according to the Jewish account of creation. So it's a step-by-step process. If we start with this directive and we take this step, where we are now will not be the same place we'll be 365 days from now, because food sufficiency is critical. If you look at the amount out of our disposable income that we spend on feeding, that's why we don't have a saving culture.
Because as he said, food is expensive.
It's very expensive. You see, the first global economic recession recorded in mankind history happened in Egypt when Joseph was the prime minister. It was solved through a food security program. It was a comprehensive food security program that solved the problem. So any nation that, look, one of the cheapest thing you can buy in civilized world is food. You and I can't feed ourselves with 400 units of dollar. In United States, the three of us, if we go to a restaurant to feed ourselves, do you want to kill ourselves with 400 units of dollar? Can the three of us feed ourselves with 400 units of naira?
But along the line, in addition to whatever other problems we're battling with, our taste, our taste just it goes back to General Yakubu Gowon's days, and money is not our problem; it is how to spend it. And then Nigerians suddenly developed a taste for caviar, just to put it metaphorically.
Yeah, but
because at that time, money is not our problem, but how to spend it. We then began to take on these habits. And this is what we do.
We're not the only nation.
We're not.
No, we're not the only nation, because what happened was that oil price went from $2 to $6 to 11, then to 22 in 1973. Then we had the dodgy. It wasn't only, I mean, Saudi Arabia and all the Arab nations made a lot of money and they were able to develop. So it was a statement, obviously, I wasn't here at that time, that he probably made within the context of the inflow of wealth at that time.
Yeah.
So, but I'm not going to ascribe the kind of taste that this generation, my generation, your generation have developed. It's just not. It's not just.
It started from somewhere, as you said, in a different context. Rome was not built in a day.
Yeah, but
before we had this monster,
but we have had
appetite.
Operation Feed the Nation after that time, I guess.
We
have had different programs.
We're going back into that time.
We have had green revolution.
The example I made goes back to the I think OFN at that time, as it was known.
Absolutely. So
you know,
there's need for us to change.
Calling in from Agege, we got Abadi. Mr. Abadi, good morning.
Abati, yes.
Abati.
Good morning.
Honorable Abati.
Honorable Abati.
Good morning to you and your guest. Yeah.
Good morning, sir.
I want to contribute to the program online now.
Please go ahead.
Please, somebody said it earlier that the implementation is the problem of this project.
Sure.
In 2017, when IFAD came to Western region, Ogun State was selected as one of the states that should benefit from it. And some of us moved to the farm. We were able to acquire 100 hectares of land at Olorunsogo area of Ogun State, for local government. The intention was to plant rice. And government assured us that they are going to assist us. But IFAD really tried for us. But I must confess to you, government did not do much in this project. We gather our money and everything. The first year, which was 2017 season, we did not make anything. 2018, we tried our best. And we saw the project that is going to give us some benefit. But could you believe that the partnership we have with the government was the one that caused serious downfall for us? We're supposed to harvest by July. They did not give us harvester until around November, when the rice has already traveled down, and we couldn't make anything from it. So what I'm trying to say is that Agric is a capital-intensive project. And this anchor borrower they are talking about, they don't give us. Since 2017, we have been trying to access this loan. It is not possible. We had at our former governor, that is the other governor that went to the Senate now, collected 4 billion on behalf of the farmers. But we did not see anything. It just came with some caterpillar or put something, put signboard there. Nothing was done. Even the government, the bank are draining us. We opened at Sterling Bank, we opened at Wema Bank, we opened at BOE. Nothing came out of it. So if government can implement a situation where we can access the loan very well, you do not expect professionals to start hitting the ground. I'm a doctor. We have lawyers among us. We have about 100 on this farm. This year, we couldn't do the 100 hectares. We are just about doing just 30 hectares because we are raising money within ourselves.
Wow.
So it's a good thing, but the government must make sure that the money available for this thing get to the farmer. The civil servants, they don't want this money to get to us at all. They just give us fertilizer and all that. But it's more than that. More than that. Please, they should do something about it.
Thank you very much, Honorable Abati. Thank you very much for that illuminating contribution.
Now,
and it goes back to some of the things that you said, that, look, government, beyond just saying it, needs to back this up.
So what government can do, listening to this man, what they can do is very simple. Because the civil servants are going to frustrate this project. In fact, like they have always done. So what you can do is you can go back to international UNEDO. You can go back to the World Bank.
Let's come back and consider it further. I've got to take a break. Stay with us, please. We'll be back. Continue the conversation as well as taking your calls. Welcome back. Having this conversation today about, the presidential, order. He's directed the central bank to not make available to anybody who wants to import for food the foreign exchange to do so, implying that two things. One, you want to go that way, you must have your own foreign exchange. And then also implying that, in fact, stating, never mind, I'm implying that we actually have achieved food security. So just about everybody will be interested and excited at the notion, at this notion. But as we have heard, and in particular, Honorable Abati, who called in as an active participant and telling you some of the pitfalls, it's making it work that now counts. People have spoken about civil servants. Even beyond that, when you look at some of the challenges, taste and all of that, we've just changed. So much so that we even are now almost turning our nose. First of all, we're turning our nose up at our own rice. Mm-hmm. We were going for Uncle Ben's. And then later on, we managed the Chinese imports. But funnily enough, now the Nigerian rice is a premium rice. It's even more expensive than the Chinese rice. So I don't know
So that's,
how all of this is going to happen.
That is the beauty about this policy, because if we all get back to work, food will come down. I told you that food is very expensive. Now, for this thing to work, you need to look at previous policies in the last 5, 6, 7 years. How did you get the civil service and public service out of it? Or how did you get them to comply and work with the system? Because Mr. Abati must be able, with his colleagues, be able to harvest from the land and feed from the land and become a motivation for others to say, look, we're going back to the land because there's prosperity on the land. That's where Nigeria is going to solve half of its problem from. Once we solve the food problem, mm-hmm. create employment, mm-hmm. and our youth are willing to work and till the soil with their hands, we're home and dry.
So the populace, the people don't have a choice. They will have to revert to their own foods.
Yeah, they have to.
They have
to first work.
Yes.
Because there's so many people that are loitering around there.
Yeah. Okay, I get it.
I'm sure a lot of our population need to put their hands back at work.
Okay, back to the plow. Izo, in Aja, good morning.
Yes, Uncle Yori, good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
And your guest.
Thank
morning.
you.
How are you?
Good morning.
We're well, thank you.
Okay. Uncle Yori, they say when the foundation, that is, I'm trying to talk about the foundation, Nigeria foundation itself. We are in a faulty foundation.
Are you talking about our food sufficiency?
Yes,
okay.
We are talking about it, and it's the foundation that causes all this food insufficiency.
Okay.
When the foundation is faulty, what can the righteous do? We are still talking about...
Sorry, you are talking about food insufficiency. The
yes,
president is saying that we have food sufficiency.
We don't have. That is not true. That is not true, because I'm a business person. I deal with food. We have almost all the market is foreign food. We don't have the capacity to produce food that will feed the system. Is the truth. But we can do it. We can do it by fighting insecurity, fighting corruption. Insecurity will not allow farmers to do their farming. And we are still doing the old pattern of farming, no mechanized farming that they did in foreign countries. If we put our hands, okay, like the past administration, they are getting it right before this one comes. They should ask Adesina what he did to make the thing work to some extent before this falling. So there's a problem in leadership. There's a problem with the way people behave. If you are a government, you said you want to give loan to SME, you want to give to farmer, they will only announce it, but they don't implement it. How can it work? We are deceiving ourselves. Go to the market, things are so expensive. The government should put money in farming and make sure the money gets to the farmers.
Okay.
And provide the equipment for them, not the way they are using hose. The time of using hose are past.
But apart from that, it's a good idea, is what you're saying. Apart from all of this.
It's a good idea, and they should watch our porous border. Okay. Our borders are so porous.
All right, then.
Every country, they are trying to work on their borders. We are not working on our borders. That's why they can bring palm oil that we have.
All right, then. Thank you very much for calling in. Thank you.
Uncle Yori, I said earlier, The concerns of people is the sincerity of government and the willingness of government to follow through with this, with these policies. And there's no way we are not going to do with civil service, Chuks. The first global economic crisis was resolved through an agrarian policy. What did Joseph tell Pharaoh? You have to build silos, build new cities, build carriageways, establish. It talks about the various structure we need to put in place. What are the incentives that we are going to provide to ensure that we see these policies fall through? And it also comes to one of the issues which you raised. If we say we don't have food insecurity, I would disagree. We have, but those that have contrary opinion is because our taste and value has changed. We now have taste for foreign food. As a result of that, we have jettisoned our local, our local. All you need to do is to go to the various markets. All you need to do is to go to the hinterlands. Now, the investment in infrastructure such as railways and the rest of it will ensure that it is easier for you to move goods from Makurdi to different parts of this country like we used to have in the 40s. Why do you think that the colonialists built the railway system? Do you think they love Nigerians? And they built the railway system to the various areas. They move it to the seaport and they move it to the various areas where you have these cash products, and then the railway moved down to Apapa, from Apapa to those various areas. It facilitated the movement of these goods. So we need investment in infrastructure. We need investment in silos. We need investment in processing. In short, and
infrastructure to make this
this policy work. And that comes from the government's willingness and desire to see this through and not just mere media campaign.
Nuruddin in Egbeda, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir.
And the guests in the house.
Sure.
Uncle Yori, this program, the President job role, is a laudable one. Number one, you see, it's going to boost our foreign reserve. That's for sure. We'll not be deep our hand into the foreign reserve to import food. Number two, you see, the disadvantages are many. Like like this anchor borrowers money. It doesn't get to the farmer. It doesn't get to the farmer at all. I have a friend. He left all his business. He went to farming in Ogun State. Then he told me that they said they brought 4 billion naira from CBN anchor borrower money. You know that the money did not get to any of them. At the end of the day, they have to quit the farming, and now he's jobless. He wasted all his effort, all his money. He sold 2 of his buses just to put into the business. But at the end of the day, the thing crashed. So the problem is they have good intention. The federal government has good intention. But the disbursement of the money, that is where the problem is.
Okay.
It doesn't get to the farmer.
All right.
So that is where the corruption aspect of it, they have to fight that one first. Instead of, they should have agricultural extensive program. So all these things they will go to the farm to go and talk to these people that are not through state government. State government will use the money on their own. They will use it for themselves. Go and buy 2 caterpillars and start dialing as if they are doing so. They are not doing anything. So it's a laudable program, I agree, but the problem is the corruption that is involved.
Thank you very much for calling in, Nuruddin. But so laudable program, but it has to be worked. There must be an environment that will make it work.
Absolutely.
And let's face it, the other thing, food sufficiency, but just about everybody who is watching this, will know that food has gotten more expensive. I mean, on the ordinary level, when was the last time you asked for amala or eba and somebody told you that you could get this one is 20 naira? Do you want this 20 naira eba enough? There's no such thing again. Why are you laughing? People used to be able to buy 20 naira eba.
Even 50 naira, but your joy now is one thing they give you like this 100 naira. And you'll be wondering, is this important?
Wait, ask them to put one meat. Is there any meat that is
400 naira?
There you go. So how can there are people who are watching this and were saying, where are they eating that they are eating 400 naira
you know
meat?
that,
but
it's easier to say that there are problems. The greatest setback that we have, that is amongst all of us, is that when we start this agricultural business and we're doing stuff, we're looking for big profit, small labor, big profit. Because this meat and amalatin, I used to tell one of your or your joint that down the road they are selling this thing 50 naira. This woman said this amala for 100 naira. And I thought that is wicked. Yeah, amala.
Okay. And as we are mentioning amala in the southern part of the country, there are equivalents in other places.
Tush in coffee.
Yeah,
Akpu
and all of that.
How much are they sold?
Just go and look at the restaurant
for
prices
you to feed
that
yourself.
We are now.
Can you spend $1,000, 1,000 units of dollar feeding yourself?
No, you can't do.
Can 1,000 units of naira feed you?
Not unless you want to.
I
hear what you're saying. Let me quickly bring in Ike in Kaduna. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Uncle Yori. God bless you today.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you very much. Yeah, the government bringing out this policy, it would have been a very good one. It is a good one, but there are a lot of errors. Now, if you watch most of these our big men, the type of food they eat in their house are foreign foods. And you look at, you look at our communities.
Yes.
There is a truth you can never allow us to be food sufficiency. Because the farmers cannot go freely to farm. Imagine Northwest, how the terrorists have disintegrated after that. No farming activities is going on there. So now telling us that we have food sufficiency, there is no truth on it. What they need to do in order for us to know that yes, they are really doing the working, when they will not want to give grants, the grant does not get to the people.
Yeah.
So what is the sincerity of on what they are doing? We are not telling ourselves the truth. Let the government do the right thing by allowing the farmers access to their money. And then they invest massively. It will create employment for massive youth. If government can use the type of what they want to use to establish Ruga, to establish farming in Nigeria, in every state, 30 states of the country, Nigeria will then say we are food sufficiency.
Okay.
That's the truth.
Right,
not to be betting and floating from one point to the other. At the end, nothing meaningful will come out of it. Thank you very much for giving me the privilege to speak to you this morning.
Thank you very much for calling in. You know,
thank you,
on this point that has been mentioned by several callers now about bureaucracy, possibly frustrating the entire noble objective. You know, I'm actually a bit optimistic, and the reason for my optimism is that look, such bottlenecks that we've seen in other places. I think it was Vice President Osinbajo some time again that was explaining that the whole process of doing business with Nigeria, they've taken out a lot of the bureaucratic, hang-ups. And so, in short, they can make it easy. Now, if that's for establishing businesses, which is equally important, how much more food production, which is totally indispensable? We don't have a choice on that.
But what the Vice President didn't tell you is that if you have been used to running your business for the past 20, 30 years, where you go to the central bank to go get foreign exchange to import your food.
No, I was even talking about registering businesses in Nigeria and the problems that used to be. But now they've taken out according...
but this one is a new policy. It's a change. And every time you have a new policy or a change, you are going to have people react negatively.
I think one of the callers...
And it's the responsibility of government to work out the modality with which to deal with it. Now,
I'm just taking all of this for granted.
It will not be...
Chuks, am I too naive? I'm just taking all of this for granted. But before the president will come out with this kind of thing, no doubt a lot of the points that have been touched on in this program since it started would have been things that would have been in consideration, or at least in knowledge. Stephen in Birmingham, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for calling in.
I want to contribute to your... Yes, thank you. Welcome. I want to contribute to your program.
Please go ahead.
The Mr. President policy, I think is a good policy.
Okay.
But the problem we have in Nigeria is all the policy that President is making, but the governor, they don't key to the Mr. President's idea. Because if the governor, they help Mr. President to drive the policy, I think Nigeria will be okay. Because the governor, they are the worst in Nigeria. Because they didn't follow the policy. Let me give you an example. If you go to northern Nigeria, you see most of the governor, agricultural sector in northern Nigeria is very good. Come to west Nigeria, you see none of the governor want to do nothing about agriculture. The problem, they get the allocation from the federal government, they spend it anyhow. See, the last caller made a point about 100 acres of land in Ogun State.
Okay.
He tried to get allocation to help, but the governor, nobody assists. But if you go to northern Nigeria, you see a lot of agriculture going on there. But in western Nigeria, you see, instead of us to key to agricultural sector, you see our young men go and buy Okada, ride Okada everywhere. They don't want to do anything. But the governor, they didn't help Mr. President to drive. We have a lot of things to do with our governor.
Okay.
Most of things that is going wrong in Nigeria is the governor of our state. They need to try to understand the policy of the Mr. President is giving, because they don't follow Mr. President's policy and at all. Most of the governors, they just, I don't know, I don't understand how
I hear you.
they don't key to the Mr. President policy. I don't understand it. We need to look at the governor of the state. Sure. They need to look at the policy very well. The policy is very good. I think it's going to help Nigeria if the governor follow it, because the governor, they are the worst.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for calling in. So he is looking for a situation where everybody is pulling in the same direction. Absolutely. From the presidency to the states. They're all pulling. The presidency gives directions. But you see, being in a federation such as we are, I guess that is where he might say that, you know, the governors are not following.
The governors are not independent of the
nation.
You have 3 tiers of government: the federal, the state,
and everybody eats food,
and the local government. And it's about the national security of the nation. And I think that what we should do is not to focus on the problem, but to look at solutions to this problem. And one of the solutions to solving our national security is this issue that has been raised. Let us try this out. Let us support this. Let us put such light on the governor. You see, the last caller raised one issue. One is, what are governors across the geopolitical zone, what are they doing concerning agriculture? Now, if you go to Kebbi, you go to Benue, you go to the rest of them, you see the governors of those states making serious direct investment in the agricultural sector. We've heard from callers, we've even heard from investors in some states that complain about the governors
who feel they have their fingers burned.
The governors did not play any critical role in helping them. What we need to do, throw such light on them, let them understand that for us to have a viral nation, to have a strong nation, we must invest in agriculture. For us to compete among the Committee of Nations, we must have a strong economy, and that strong economy comes from the agriculture. So everybody has gone back to the land. We must take care of Mother Earth.
Sure. Edem in Apapa, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning, Edem.
Hello, good morning, sir. Hello, good morning, sir.
Good morning. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to contribute. I just want our elders, our politicians to help the poor. They help the poor. I never see a president one day say, I don't get building here, I get property, I don't want money again. Let me take and go to hospital and spend for hospital people. I never see him one day. I need our president, our politicians, our ministers to help the poor. And look at it, they just channel everything for Papa. They know they want people to leave their family from Akwa Ibom State, Port Harcourt, Yori, to come here and work for Papa. They should channel something to Port Harcourt or Papa, the first capital of Nigeria. People go leave their children, leave their wife, and come to Papa. On the line, maybe something happen. They should share this country well, so that peace go reign.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for calling in. That's another perspective to the whole thing. But the president says in this policy, what will be saved from money formerly issued to the importation of food will now go to further strengthen our diversification efforts. You know, well, it's interesting because people have been pointing out some of the things that are going to be necessary for this idea that is being called laudable to work. I think it was Nuruddin who called in from Egbeda who was saying that I'm a player, I'm an investor You know, I'm highly educated, and I'm not the only one. But we were frustrated at the end of the day.
I played a major role.
Same with Abati. In fact, I think it was Abati who said it.
I played a major role.
It was Abati, as a matter of fact.
I've been
yes.
playing a role in this agricultural business since 2010. I remember walking up to Evelyn Oputu in 2010, and somebody taking me to her, and I said stuff to her, and he said to me, "Brilliant." So she helped me form a cooperative, and all that, introduced me to Dangote funds that was domiciled in the bank of industry. Now, unfortunately for me, because I wasn't a farmer, I was just educationist in the whatever. They will bring this money and we'll give it to our women, because those funds were specifically for women.
Yeah.
And all that. But I also used to go to my town every Christmas to train youths on how to farm and all that. I met young men who were specialists in growing corn. And at the end of every harvest season, the young men weren't getting so much, but they were getting a little. They were able to buy Okada and all that. But they take the corn to Onitsha, dump it there, and it's bought for peanuts and all that. So industries that are going to use up some of this produce is very, very important.
Because
the unique role of women in the chain is very, very important.
Indeed.
But
and the amount of wastage that
Yes.
we are currently experiencing, because when conversations on food sufficiency come up, it's always mentioned that the spoilage, the wastage, because of our...
We need to go to the
But the
market.
point
is just crazy.
But the point that has been made at the beginning
yes.
that we must not forget is that we have our food going outside of this country.
Indeed.
In large quantity, and I'm impressed with what I've seen.
Okay, Pius in Kaduna, thank you for holding on. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, so you see, in this country, we just have to stop lip service and pay attention to the real thing. Agricultural sector is one of the sectors if pay more attention is going to take care of our own economy and is going to take care of our own GDP because of the agricultural value chain. That what is going on right now, I'm telling you, it's more of lip services than real work. That is what is going on. If the government wants agriculture to work, they just have to go back and bring back our own marketing boards. We have cocoa boards, we have granite boards, we have cotton boards, and so on. So if those people are back, and I'm telling you, all the graduates of agricultural extension management should be employed. Those people are going to work hand to hand with what? With the villagers and the research institutions. So to promote agriculture, if there is any new elevation, the extension manager will take it to the village, and the villagers will accept it. They will put it through. By so doing, you will see that we are going to have a bumper harvest, and we are going to have our own agricultural produce, grade A, grade B, and grade C.
Sure.
Grade A, we export it. Grade B, we consume it. Grade C, we use it in our own industry. Are we having something in this country? All what we are having is lip service in order to promote the government. And that is not good for our own economy. We have to be serious in order to promote agriculture in Nigeria. Agriculture will take care of our own GDP.
Sure.
I'm telling you.
Sure.
Good morning, Nigerians.
Good morning, and thank you very much for calling
It's a
us.
good place to start from.
Yes, exactly. It's a fine place to start from. And we actually don't have any more time. But one of the, respondents actually, I guess what I wanted to say is that in terms of our food production and all of this and our efforts in agriculture, our efforts haven't been too shabby, even in the recent past. One of the callers called in this morning and was referring to Dr. Additional, that,
It's just about us organizing
yeah,
ourselves.
it's about us organizing. That very Dr. Additional, I believe he's still working with this administration. Yes, he's still working with this administration. So we can only go from strength to strength once we're all pulling in the same direction.
If we can key in, and everybody find a role to play.
And if we can let go of the metaphoric caviar that we have,
the
metaphoric caviar that we have developed a taste for.
Implementation, we take away ethnicity, we take away politics.
Corruption, generally.
Those are elements of corruption.
That is what I'm saying.
So we take away, we don't if you don't politicize and ethnicize this policy, I can assure you that we get to where we are going.
Well, I want to thank you very much, Dr. Jide Johnson.
It's a pleasure to be with
Deputy Provost, Nigerian Institute of Journalism, and Mr. Chuks Nwoko, publisher and social commentator publisher MDG, Millennium Development Goals. Thank you very much as well for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, really appreciate your efforts.
Thank you.
And your contributions. Okay, so that's our program. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Yori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.